Welcome to this week's episode of JPTV. I'm Harper Herring.
And I'm Sam Sherman. Starting today, a new schedule is being tested across campus,
with each of the classes ending 14 minutes shorter. Each of the three schools has different ending times.
JPTV's Ella Douglas and Emily Head have more information.
Today starts the first day of the new trial schedule. Ella Douglas and I talked to Mr. Coco and Miss Haire about this new schedule.
One of the perks of the new schedule is that the lower school, middle school, and upper school will be getting out at different times, which means a better parking situation for everyone.
Went through lots of different iterations, and when we landed on was the schedule that we're going to test between April the 13th and May the 1st, which essentially is, instead of the 3-day block that rotates through an A, B, and C day, is a 5-day block that is the same every single week. So the Monday's always the same, Tuesday's always the same, Wednesday's always the same. And what it means is, instead of having 68 minutes, we go to 55 minutes. But there's an extra class every day, except on Fridays when we get out of school a little early.
Okay. Mr. Coco explains how sports and extracurriculars will fit into the new schedule.
The other thing, like show choir and athletics that do rotate up to the schedule, we actually have a little bit more flexibility because all of the periods are adjacent to some sort of break, whether it be the beginning of the school day, lunch, activity period. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of where we put the athletics or show choir so that it fits the best for different students.
Ms. Haire explains that Friday activity periods will be longer due to pep rallies and class meetings.
I know on Fridays, I believe it's
40 minutes.
40 minutes long, which we made it longer because of pep rallies, and then to also have a day during the week when we have a longer activity period if we had a forum or a guest speaker on campus.
Next, Mr. Coco elaborates on the purpose of testing out the new schedule.
Part of the testing, when we were talking to the department chairs, one of the things that they said was, we can sort of put the schedule on paper and look at it and see what we think will work and what won't work. But until you live it, you really don't know what goes well. So it may be that we do this and say, you know what, we need to figure out a way to add 5 more minutes activity period to make it work well, and that's the whole point of testing it over this 3-week period.
Right. Mr. Coco also sheds light on how teachers should prepare for the new schedule.
I think it's going to affect assessment tests and how they do that. I think it's going to affect homework as well. I think the amount of homework that you give on a 3-day cycle is going to be a little different when you're reading 2 out of every 3 days than it's going to be when you go 4 out of every 5 days. So I think those are things that the teachers are going to have to adjust. I think everyone needs to be ready that the first week's going to be a little tough.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be an adjustment for everybody, and I think that's also one of the reasons why we wanted to do it for 3 weeks, is we kind of get through that 1 week adjustment, and then the second and third week we really should get a good sense of how it's working.
When asked how the new schedule will be affected with holidays on Mondays and track meets on Wednesdays, Mr. Coco said,
as we plan a year, we may take more Fridays than Mondays to make sure that we balance it out to where not.
And Fridays are already shorter.
Already short. That's exactly right. Now the deal is that sometimes Fridays aren't as good in the fall,
right?
Because we've all got to be back up here that night to do a football game or whatever. So that's why we usually trend a little bit more towards Mondays. But heck, Mondays everybody's up here anyway doing whatever it is they've got going on. I do think getting to meet 4 out of every 5 days is better than 3 or 4. I think that repetition is good for upper school students as well. I think it's nice, on Fridays to be able to get out a little early. I mean, I think that's something that I think we're going to enjoy, particularly when you've got, football games going on that night or something else, something else that's going on. Just to have a little bit of relief. We've gotten our work done. Let's there's no reason to not get out a little bit early. I'm excited to see what the results are. And I think one thing that's important is we haven't made any final decisions about what we're going to do next year. This truly is a test to see, is this something we want to use for next year? Do we want to use it next year? We make a few changes to it. Obviously, we're seriously considering it, or we wouldn't be testing it. Right. But I think it allows us to really make some informed decisions about what we're doing. So I tell everyone, relax. Everything's going to be okay, but do anticipate kind of a rocky first week. I think that's completely normal. I would expect that.
Reporting for JPTV, I'm Emily Head.
And I'm Ella Douglas.
On to athletics. We now have our hands on the 2026 Jackson Prep varsity football schedule.
JPTV's Peter Primos and Wade Smith interviewed Coach Goodwin on looking ahead to this fall.
The Jackson Prep football schedule has just been released. We spoke with Coach Gilblin about some of the changes made and how excited he is about the upcoming season.
So our schedule is very much the same as last year. The sites are just reversed with the exception of the Battleground game. And initially we were going to play Battleground 2 years in a row at neutral sites, but because our association moved our schedule up and we thought we were going to have a game on the 0 week, which is the game we played them last year, we didn't think we were going to be able to play. So then we canceled it. They found somebody else. And then after a few weeks after that, UMS called and we figured out we were going to be able to play that week. So UMS is coming here the first game of the season instead of us going back to Memphis to play Battleground.
This has been Wade Smith holding for JPTV. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Wade. The girls' soccer season is quickly approaching the playoffs.
JPTV's Chloe McDaniel interviewed Coach Johns on how their team is heading into the postseason.
The girls' district tournament is starting April 22nd. We asked Coach Kevin Johns how he's preparing his team for the tournament.
Well, obviously we have a few games left of the regular season, and I think we're going in the right direction. That if you'd asked before the season, as the playoffs getting closer, I think the team is coming together and has our performance over the last 5 or 6 games have been a lot better, and the team's getting better through training. So I think things are looking good for us.
We also asked Coach Kevin how his team has improved over the first half of the season compared to now.
Well, I think the team came together and had some meetings and discussions and kind of came up with some ideas, and then the staff, we changed the formation a little bit and made some decisions based on the players we had that we thought we could do a better job defensively by changing a couple of things, and I think the girls grasped that very well, accepted the responsibilities of it, and I think with that we've been a lot better defensively and have started finding ourselves offensively also with that, and we've been more competitive.
For JPTV, I'm Chloe McDaniel.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of JPTV. I'm Harper Herring.
And I'm Sam Sherman. See ya!